and Clarence Hill with DLLS. We got Tom Pelissero of NFL Network. We call you the McCarthy Whisperer in Dallas. No disrespect, but you have an insight to McCarthy. What's he going through right now? What's his mindset like right now?
Well, I think that it was a challenging situation because through all those discussions between him and Jerry Jones, there weren't any signs that he wasn't going to be back as head coach of the Cowboys. Obviously, Jerry had a different idea about the commitment or lack thereof that he was willing to make to Mike and to a coaching staff. He ends up pivoting. You know, at that point, I mean, that could have gone on for a long time.
Right.
It got to a point where it made sense for both sides really to move on. Then Mike obviously interviewed for the Bears job. He certainly, made a run at that. They had Ben Johnson. That was the guy that they wanted. The Saints, I mean, he never talked to them. I know there was stuff floating around about how it went. Like, they never talked. And so, in a different world, is Mike coaching this year? Absolutely. I mean, he still has the competitive fire. Fully intends to be back in 2026. But, beyond the Bears, I don't know if there was really a great fit.
Right.
There might be better jobs available next year here. And so he's going to spend time with the kids, probably maybe do some media stuff, which I know you'd enjoy, and be focused on next year.
Yeah, Cowboys certainly do things their own way, including the way they hired Brian Schottenheimer. One, how surprised were you, and just what do you think about Brian Schottenheimer in Dallas?
I think it was surprising initially just because you hadn't heard that name up until a few days before, but it also makes sense because, again, in all of Mike and Jerry's discussions, they didn't want to make big changes, and so by promoting Brian Schottenheimer, it allows you, culturally at least, to keep portions of the program. It definitely allows you to keep a lot of the offense in place, speak the same language with the quarterback, and not have to start over. So, Schotty's he's been at this a long time. He's always been respected. There's things that he brings to the table in terms of like bringing a toughness to it, being able to build a culture. Those are positives for him. He hires a veteran defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, that I think makes a ton of sense for him. So we'll see how it goes. He's long overdue to get a shot in this thing. Mike's won however many hundreds of games. He's won 60+% of his games here. Johnny's 0-0.
Yeah.
So you're starting from go. He's got a really talented, at least at the top end roster here, and a lot of young guys who gained some playing time for the course of their first year.
There was so much. Mike had to get used to Jerry McCarthy.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about that relationship? Because I understand Mike still is fond of Jerry and fond of their relationship.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And listen, Jerry does things his own way.
Right.
There's not a lot of teams where everything comes back to the business side of things. And even things with the cadence of having the open practices right before the season, which most teams don't do that. Well, all of a sudden you can't be running your game plan stuff. All the other teams are doing things on a daily basis, and the tours for the facility. They're all just a little bit different. So but again, with having Brian Schottenheimer there, he's used to it. He's not been the point person, but he knows how Jerry moves. He knows how he operates. I think that's one more thing that helps. I would say, Mike always, from everything I understood, had a great respect for Jerry, what he built, and where he came from. Let's be clear, this is not like other jobs in the NFL. You've got to have a certain amount of emotional stamina to deal with all the other things that go into it here. Jerry's got a lot of stuff going on. He's still a deal maker. He's still doing business and all these different things. He's also not just the owner, but the general manager of the Cowboys. That's a lot of work, and it's something you have to work with.
Tom, thank you so much. I know you got to get going.
I got one question. Luka Doncic.
Oh, yeah.
The huge trade in Dallas. Okay, how shocked are you?
I would just say this. I'll say this, all right? I know Shops, all right?
Yeah.
He breaks that thing.
Right.
And all I'm thinking in my head was, this is why I wear AirPods to bed most of the time. At the heavy time, you got to have it. I'm like, I found myself wondering, does he have AirPods in? Is he a ringer-on guy? There's got to be a way. He's not getting that tip at midnight, and he's just awake.
Can you compare an NFL trade like this? If a young guy in his prime, who's the face of the franchise.
I mean, the closest thing would be, just because it's player for player, would be like a Goff, Stafford, that trade.
Yeah, but they're not.
That was different because, Stafford was still very much in his prime, but Goff had fallen out of favor with the other team, and his contract was a negative asset. I mean, I can't think of anything that would be the equivalent of that. I mean, if you made one up, it'd be along the lines of like Josh Allen for Matthew Stafford. That's probably close. I think so.
Appreciate you, man. Love you, man. NFL Network. Thank you, man. McCarthy back to the barn?
I might see him there. Who knows? Maybe I'll go through there.